as a pretty traditional home, even though it is not a traditional home for me and my brother, especially when our parents were together. When my mom and dad separated and my dad bought the mansion next door, he broke down the wall and my brother and I went back and forth between both properties. My parents kept us sheltered from adulthood like any other parent does. We were kept away from the parties while we were growing up. When we were younger, we weren't participating when we were 12 years old at the Midsummer's party at the mansion. So we are standing outside of the grotto, which from the outside looks like a large rock island structure, but from the inside looks like a cave. It's funny because it's such an iconic place, and obviously the whole world probably sees it as one thing, which is this mecca for orgies. But the reality is for me, it has always represented this sort of Indiana Jones adventure, because when I was a kid, there was none of that going on, and I was swimming around here, and that's what it was to me.
Oh, come on! In a previous video, we discussed about the return of Playboy to print, to newsstands, a new online service as far as their models, the return of the Playboy Playmate, return to the old days of what they used to produce, which is a good thing. Because Playboy, people will criticize, well, it's a nudie girl thing. They got naked girls. Yeah, but they had great media stories in there. Real good interviews. It was a well-rounded magazine. The thing is, people criticize some of these magazines that they have girls in them and stuff like that. Same thing like Sports Illustrated with the swimsuit edition. It's girls in bikinis. Okay, Playboy, you have naked girls in there. But you also had very intriguing stories with people from Hollywood, politics, the business world. And it was a very well-rounded situation when it came to this magazine. Now, we know Hugh Hefner passed away, and it's basically the company is like, it's by a board these days. But here's some news that's coming out now. Supposedly, the youngest son is planning to return and take back the business that his father built. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I think it needs a little bit of the Hefner touch since it's now returning. So we're going to read this off of AVN. Hugh Hefner's youngest son offers to buy rights to the Playboy brand. Cooper, wow. Managing partner of the private equity firm Hefner Capital, put forward an offer to acquire all the intellectual properties and branding assets of Playboy Enterprises with a $100 million bid he presented to the board of the publicity-traded Playboy Group, who currently owns the company his father, Hugh Hefner, founded. According to reports, Hefner made a non-binding offer per correspondence with the Playboy board, which was reviewed by several publications and AVN. The offer to acquire the IP from Playboy Entertainment and Playboy would be a cash payment of $100 million and a 10% equity interest in the new entity that would oversee the operations of the company creative ventures, including the iconic magazine that was just recently announced to be returning to print. The Hollywood Reporter reports that Hefner's goal is a personal one. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. At all. He told the Reporter, media and business writer Alex Weeprin, this effort is about safeguarding a legacy built over decades, ensuring that the creativity, values, and cultural relevance that define Playboy are not lost. Playboy Enterprises has a rich history of encouraging personal freedom, critical thinking, and playful storytelling. As I said, this is why it is a very, really good magazine overall. It's not only because there are naked girls on there. Hefner approached the Playboy board with a group of other investors to structure the deal, reports the Wall Street Journal. If the board chooses to accept the case offer and the 10% equity stake in a new venture built for administrating the Playboy IP, this would be the first direct investment from a Hefner family member in several years. News of the Hefner bid saw Playboy near worthless stock climbing by well over 20%. He believes that a new strategy is needed for the company to be successful. Hefner and his team claim to have such a new strategy. Playboy as a company has gone significantly lean via licensing strategies by granting the name to third parties. The company has been in an unsustainable position in recent years, including the shedding of other assets and popular sexual wellness brands like Lovers and Yandy. Hefner added in his interview with Redprint, "Ultimately, our goal is to honor the brand's heritage while building something dynamic and relevant for the future." In August, Playboy Group announced the return of the iconic Playboy magazine with an annual edition to be released in February of 2025. The Prince magazine's upcoming February 2025 print issue will be released at the launch event and celebrating during the NFL's championship game weekend in New Orleans. And yes, this is the one thing, is when you have family members who built, and Hugh built an empire out of this, between the magazine, other smaller companies. I mean, there were clubs, Playboy Club, if you remember. If anybody as old as I am, they used to be Playboy clubs. They've made movies about Hugh Hefner's life. And we've seen it in other movies indirectly, whereas, it's in the background of the movie itself. Stuff like Beverly Hills Cop. There was one Beverly Hills Cop, and Hugh Hefner showed up in the Playboy Mansion. But the thing about it is that, not only the magazine itself and the products that they sold, you had a large video distribution outlet, also a pay-per-view outlet with a Playboy channel that garnished some good cash to the company itself, that they made money. I mean, you had that, they had their own show. They had a Playboy channel show that ran live on the Playboy network itself. And then, of course, you had all the girls that were Playboy centerfolds. They had their own DVDs, videos, compilations. They had all special events and stuff like that during the Super Bowl and many other events. Playboy was a big company, a big deal. And, people out there would criticize it. And, well, they're just basically putting down women and stuff like that. No, sex sells. But the thing about it is, they built a magazine that was in for freedom of expression, that talked to people, that really sat down and talked to people, that were important in that time period when that magazine was out. Go back and look at the interviews they had. I mean, there are archives of the Playboy magazine itself. Go back in those archives, read them, look for yourself of the journalism integrity that was in this magazine, not the way journalism is today. They talked the talk back then. And I think Hugh's son might bring this back into fruition. It could happen again. There are going to be some stumble blocks, but he's going to have to deal with some people like Morality and Media and a couple of others. But I think he has a chance to build this up properly. Once again, create a name for himself, just like his father. So tell me in the comments below your thoughts about this. Do you think it'll be successful? Do you think it'll fail? Or, it's too early to say. And don't forget to hit that like, share this video, and that little button down there says subscribe. Hit that button right now. Come on, hit it, please. It moves us up, and we really would appreciate that, because you could have chosen from any of the thousands and thousands of videos here on social media, but you chose ours, and we really do appreciate it, and thank you for that. Until next time, thank you for tuning in, and so long.